Hello and welcome to the In a Nutshell podcast with myself, Andrew Miles Davis, and my co-host, Chris Branch. This is the daily 10-minute podcast where we take out all of the techie talk around generative AI and focus on what the everyday person, content creator, and marketer wants to hear. Now, we've only got 10 minutes, so we can only focus on one particular subject. And today we're going to talk about a subject which is quite funny yet quite serious, because what happened to an airline regarding a chatbot, so an AI-powered chatbot, could potentially happen to a number of businesses. So I want to kind of just read out what happened, because this was in the newspapers a couple of days ago, but it kind of really, it's going to set a precedent. And it's this. Air Canada was ordered to pay damages to a passenger after its chatbot provided incorrect information regarding a bereavement fares. The passenger, whose name was Jake Moffat, sought a refund based on the chatbot's advice that he could claim back a bereavement discount within 90 days of purchasing a normal price ticket. However, when he tried to claim the discount, Air Canada refused, stating that the bereavement fare rates cannot be claimed back after purchasing flights. The tribunal ruled in favor of Moffat, stating that Air Canada was responsible for the information provided by its chatbot and should have ensured its accuracy. As a result, Air Canada was ordered to pay about just over 800 Canadian dollars, including the damages as well. Now, Air Canada said that it shouldn't be liable for this. Essentially, they're saying that they shouldn't be liable of what a chatbot states, because the chatbot is essentially creating its own information. If it was a staff that they've actually trained, then that's what they should be liable for. But they're stating that they shouldn't be liable for what a chatbot has said. Now, what's your thoughts on this, Chris? Your initial thoughts on this? Whose fault? Do you think it was correct that Jake got the money, or do you think that Air Canada has a good point?
No, it's 100% right that he got the money. I think in any case, if any brand is willing to state that their chatbot is not accurate to their business purposes, then it's pointless you interacting with it as a customer. It actually makes it completely less useful than the previously existing FAQ bots that only were pre-programmed with answers that were brand values,
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we're taking a step back, and it's absolutely pointless to do that. So, yes, they've added AI features. Yes, they've had a hallucination. Yes, it is their fault for having that hallucination, even though that is a byproduct of AI, and therefore they should pay the fine. And this won't be the first or the last time we'll hear about it. In fact, we'll probably hear hundreds more this year.
Yeah, this is going to be a thing. It's they're obviously Air Canada essentially saying, but it's trained on information. Whoever created the chatbot, it should be their fault, not ours. We just kind of approved it. But what you're going to find is that someone has to be liable, and
100%.
it has, as far as I'm concerned, what you're saying as well. And also, when you look at the comments on the back of this news article, the guy is right. Air Canada is wrong in this case.
Yeah, totally.
And this is something, if you're a brand, if you decided to use an AI-powered chatbot, you really need to understand that you could be liable, even though you might not know what the chatbot is saying, because it's not like a traditional chatbot where it's kind of programmed on certain answers to give. It's more trained on those answers, and it will give like a version of those particular answers, but it will also go out and find its own information based off of data, based off of what's on websites, etc. So that is the gift and the curse, because you don't really know what it's going to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it's troubling, isn't it? Because this is the baby steps that many brands will encounter, unfortunately. And if that's the thing where Air Canada hasn't realized that there is a thing called hallucination, which is a totally unknown concept right now to even the experts about how to stop this. Essentially, you're going to encounter that absolutely for sure. So if it's ever liable information like flights or, personal details, and it's just messing this stuff up, then you're going to be liable 100%. Hopefully.
Yeah. And I think it's also a reason why a lot of big brands are pausing on AI. When I've worked with them,
Yeah.
trained in them, so I do a lot of training in social media and content marketing and digital marketing generally. And when I talk about AI, a lot of the brands that I still work with are still
Not sure
hesitant.
about
And
it.
this is one of the reasons why. The main reason is data privacy, but this is
Mm,
also another reason, especially when legal was involved. Because obviously, all the alarm bells are going to go off. They're going to read cases like this and they're going to say, look, we need to hold back even more.
mm,
And so, like, I speak to certain people and they'll say, I don't understand why this brand doesn't do much in AI or this large brand. This is why.
mm,
This is one of the reasons why they don't want to be paying lawsuits on this. But the flip side, you look at this and you think, all right, why did they employ it in the first place? And I
mm,
think the reason they employed it in the first place is because of A, they want to be more efficient, but more efficient means if we can use technology to replace people,
mm.
then that might look good on our profit and loss account. So again, if you're going to pay technology to do the job, then and it does this, what do you expect? What do you expect?
The biggest thing I'm taking away from this right now is that the dumbest decision they made was to have a publicly facing AI. Like
Yeah,
AI internally that goes wrong is okay, like, but AI that's publicly facing is not okay because
yeah,
people will essentially find issue with this. The first thought I had was there was people back in when I was at university that used to try and get free meals by adding like meat to vegan dishes and stuff like this. They were basically trying to exploit the system in any way they could.
yeah,
Now, if you have someone interacting with a
yeah.
chatbot trying to exploit it in order to get money from the company, you better be sure that it's not going to tell you a load of dumb shit, because otherwise you're going to get thousands of dollars of issues.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're going to get people once if this becomes mainstream. People are going to
Yeah,
try and game the system.
exactly.
Like, what I can get my money back if I just do this, or get them to say that and make them think this. So again, this is something to look at. But this is also not the first thing that's happened this week when it comes to
Definitely not.
bad. When it comes to using AI to kind of help promote or do
It's
some
still
work for you. Yeah. So yeah. What happened? What else happened this week, Chris?
the Fire Festival of Glasgow, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much what had happened is someone had converted a warehouse into a Willy Wonka paradise. Really, it was just completely oversold as to what it was, because I think they'd asked the creative agency to go a bit wild on the creative imagination thing, and they've clearly used an AI generative image tool in order to show what you're going to experience, and it looked nothing like the tragedy that the poor people went to actually experience. And obviously everyone's asking for a refund at this
Yeah.
point, and totally, again, that's in the fault of the company. you
Yeah.
know Giving a creative brief to a company to use AI to market something, first of all, they've obviously tendered for this. And second of all, they've approved the images to go live after they've been given that back. So
Yeah.
that company is totally liable. And it shouldn't be the fault of the creative agency, in my perspective,
Yeah.
because they just answered the brief.
Yeah, we'll do an episode on this about where's the line between
Yeah,
using
big time.
AI to promote saying this is what it could look like
Yeah.
versus hold on, this is just a complete lie. We'll do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. The company actually is called the company's called the House of Illuminati. That's the company that's responsible for the whole Willy Wonka thing. So I don't know. You can
What a
you
name.
can read into that whatever you like. But yeah, I think it's with that example and also with the example of Air Canada, it really is showing that yes, we can use AI for a lot of our marketing and promotion and advertising and content creation, but it's and also communications and customer service. But it's you need to really check
Hmm.
it's given out.
Do you
You
know the
need to
biggest
check and
factor in
double
these
check and
two?
double check. Mm.
Lack of common sense.
Oh yeah,
If
yeah,
anybody at Air Canada had tested their own thing, they'd have found that issue. If anyone at the company had externally PR'd the images, they'd have gone, you can't run that. Like,
yeah,
literally any common sense from anybody with any knowledge in those two domains would have told them. But they're both entering completely new territories.
Yeah.
You know, Willy Wonka guys is just a warehouse manufacturer probably that does gigs. They've never thought about making images with AI. Air Canada's an airline company. They've never thought about having an AI chatbot. Like, they're both entering completely new territories and making really fundamental, silly mistakes.
Yeah. And in a nutshell, whether you're entering, well, if you're entering new territory in using a lot of these AI tools, test it,
Yeah.
test, and then test again.